Every Pokemon game has that first area that introduces you to the new region's Pokemon and maybe even some familiar ones. Usually they're called Route 1, and on Route 1 you usually find some weak rodents, a regional bird, and maybe something like a bug type or a sheep. Of course there are exceptions to this. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet aren't too different, having Porkers over here and even some bug types to catch. But there are some decently strong Pokemon as well, like the Pawmi line and the Fletchling line. Route 1s have definitely come a long way since the earlier days. In the Paldea region there actually is no Route 1, instead they call it Poco Path. But anyways, that's what this video is about. Can we beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Violet using only Pokemon that can be found in Poco Path, aka Route 1? I'm positive you could beat these games with a literal toaster, but regardless, this should be an interesting team to work with. If you guys enjoyed the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and no, I won't put the second S in subscribe. Unless you subscribe, of course. Also, try and figure out the naming theme and let me know at what point you figure it out. Anyways, let's get started. You know, we live in a gorgeous house, but then we have this crappy TV with the thick bezels. Sure, I'm spoiled, but man, that looks old. Bro, how they always make mom so hot. In every game, she's hot. Now, although these Pokemon are right before Route 1, they're not actually on it. We're still in Cabo Poco here, so they don't count. Where's the cat? Battle me? No. Now our first encounter is actually chosen for us as it's literally the catching tutorial. So 100% catch rate later and we have Tommy. I dare someone to guess the nickname theme from that name alone. You won't. And if you don't, you have to subscribe. Unfortunately, this Lechonk didn't have Gluttony, so I just caught another one until I found one, as playing through the entire beginning of the game again is painfully slow and nothing of importance has happened yet. Once we have our Gluttony Lechonk, which was a female this time, I named her Sarah. Route 1 has some decent Pokemon to choose from, but since they're all on the same route and this is a Nuzlocke, obviously the rule of the Nuzlocke where you catch one per route is forfeited. You can't be on the team Rhydon, but I will give you my sandwich and allow you to follow me around. Now, another thing, I could just go ahead and catch every Route 1 Pokemon right now, but what's the fun in that? No, instead, I can only use Lechonk until I have beaten Katie. So after every gym, I'll be able to catch a new Route 1 Pokemon. This shouldn't make it too hard, as I can just choose which Pokemon I want next. However, Lechonk is the first Pokemon since we're forced to catch it in the tutorial. With this, we move away from Poco Path, but don't worry, we'll hopefully be back. Are you ready to set out and become champion, Sarah? Oh, you're asleep. Alright, we'll head out tomorrow. Bright and early the next day, Nemona wants to fight. Why wouldn't she be irking for a battle at 7 AM? This first battle actually went pretty bad, as Sarah got flinched by the Grasscat's bite first turn, and this was eventually a 4-hit KO with Tackle, and this was my health even after an Oranberry. Yikes. The good news is by leveling up Lechonk to level 13, she learns Mud Shot, which is super effective against Pawmi. Unfortunately, at this point, we need some serious luck. Just kidding, we only need Mud Shot to hit after her Thunder Shock, and it does end up connecting, meaning now this lowers her speed. In the next turn, Sarah gets Tackle off for her very first win. Good job, Sarah. You didn't die within the first 10 seconds of the game. You know, this still baffles me. The fact that these low-frame children even exist in this game. Nemona, sit down. It's none of your business why I'm here, you brat. Did you just smile at my insult? Okay, now I'm just creeped out. Alright, so our first gym is Katie, and I don't know if Sarah can do a 1v3 by herself. So there's a couple of things we have to do. First, I traveled all the way down to West Province 3 to grab a Wiki Berry. Of course, it was the last berry of the bunch that I found, but once we have that, we need to buy a Power Anklet. This is why I wanted Gluttony. In this game, in order to get Citrus Berries before Area 0, you have to do 3-star raids. By getting a Wiki Berry and having the Gluttony ability, we can essentially have a better Citrus Berry. Even with a Wiki Berry, taking damage from Katie's Pokemon is inevitable and we're slower. So now we need to go EV train against Fletchlings. Around 120 speed EVs, we should outspeed everything on her team unless she has a good nature. Now our move of choice would have been Covet, but then we still take damage, so instead I'm going to opt for Echoed Voice, which will go up 40 base points every time we use it consecutively. This is almost a one-hit KO against Teddiursa because by the time we use it, we would have already hit 3 times consecutively. But since we're faster now, I do think the Silk Scarf would be better than a Wiki Berry, since that means we only need to take a double kick from Nimble and don't need to worry about healing. And this would secure the KO not only on Teddiursa, but on Tarantula as well. So the Silk Scarf is a bit better here with EVs. If we weren't EV training, Wiki Berry would be very RNG based. So yeah, I just went to go get that berry for nothing. Once that's all said and done, wait, how the hell is there a Diglett and a Yungoos here? These aren't even Route 1 Pokemon. I wonder if I catch it? Yeah, it does say Poco Path. I might use this later, or I might not. I'm not too sure yet. I'm guessing they're glitching from Inlet Grotto under this tree. Technically they're viable if they're caught in Poco Path, but I don't know. Anyways, now we can take on Katie with just one Lechonk. I did put an extra 50 EVs in special attack just to be sure we win, and I'll take those away later. So Katie leads her Nimble with double kick. We are going to outspeed and terrestrialize for a big echoed voice on this bug, as her double kick does over half to us. Yikes. One echoed voice later, and that's that. Now Tarantula comes out. This should be a one-hit KO, and it is. Perfect. Now all we have to do is hope we outspeed, and we do, and we just scream at her. There we go. Sarah just 1v3'd her bug types. How does it feel, Katie? Since we just defeated our first real threat, we can now catch another encounter, and I chose Scatterbug as it's the best one for the next two things we have to do. I named this one Tommy, and it had shield dust. That sucks, as its other ability is Compound Eyes, which is really useful for things like Sleep Powder, Air Cutter, and other things. Regardless, I evolved him immediately into a Vivillon, and he's adorable. Now you might think I'm crazy for leading Vivillon against a big rock type like Klawf, but you're just dead wrong. See, by heading over here in between Cascarafa and Medali, we can get the TM for Giga Drain, which Vivillon can learn. But Jules, isn't it on top of that rock? You need the high jump feature from Miraidon. Well, yes, viewer, but they didn't design this game very well. By defying physics, we can try and get up, and wow, I can't believe that worked. It was looking pretty steep there. And there we have it, Giga Drain. Even without this TM, I'm sure we could still beat this crab. It actually has no access to any rock type moves right now. With special attacking EVs, this Titan is no more. By the way, I lied. It did have Rock Tomb, but it used it 3 times on Shellder and killed it. It was pretty gruesome, so I didn't show it. That definitely could have been bad though. On to something with a lot less risk. Tommy here has Bug Terra type, so a struggle with Silver Powder and max special attack EVs hammers at Brassius' team. Both Petalil and Smoliv stand 0 chance, and usually Sudowoodo is a problem, but not this time. Well, maybe a little. See, this thing has Sturdy. However, we do live a Rock Throw thanks to us not being quad weak to it anymore. Although, just like my last run, Brassius went for Trailblaze. Homie, I'm still faster than you, you idiot. I thought you were going easy on me in my last run, but now I'm just convinced you're a complete moron. Another gym down means another teammate captured. Pommy is our choice since it's a guaranteed sweep for Iono, and I name her Ellie since Ellie is a fighter. Electric Terra type, by the way. Attack and speed investment for this little guy, and I did the little Poké Center trick to get him to run a lot. Come on, soldier, you got it. It looks like a little ant down there. Once that's done, she is now a Pawmot. And our other gal also evolved into an Oinkologne. With our newly acquired mouse, Bombardier was no issue since Ellie here can relearn a move she's never learned before. Wild Charge. So yeah, that went down in one hit. After this was Giacomo, and this also wasn't a challenge for Ellie as we just bulk up on Pawniard and sweep. I don't know if low kick would do more than arm thrust, but I'm assuming this thing is pretty heavy. Look at that spirit. Crushed. You know who else's spirit is about to be crushed? Iono. And I don't know who she thinks she is challenging me, but she messed up big time today. The only thing Ellie has to do is set up bulk ups to +5, really +4 to be right on the money, but I have bad luck, so let's just do +5. We can do this pretty safely as Wattrel doesn't have anything going for it and it's super weak. Once we're at +5 attack, we can spark Wattrel and immediately comes out the Luxio for the Intimidate, which is okay. It ends up dying to a dig, and so does Bellybolt. All that's left is to Wild Charge this Miss Mages to Oblivion, and it does not matter that it is resisted. Like I said before, being at +4 would make this +3 thanks to Intimidate, and it would be a 100% chance to kill, but on the off chance she has a great nature and stats for defense, I added an extra bulk up to the mix. God, I love you, Ellie. With another gym badge under our belt, we pick up this fletchling, and she was named Tess. She has a jolly nature, which is pretty good, and she also had normal Terra type. I don't know how useful that'll be. Oh wait, it's gonna be Fire Terra. That's amazing. Might as well get that right now. It didn't change! Next up is Mela, the Fire Team star leader, and I did level Sarah to the cap because she learns Work Up. However, I didn't use it since Echoed Voice would make us take the same damage in the long run, and her Torkoal has Drought. She also has Clear Smog, which would just nullify any of our buffs. Apparently, if Drought is activated when it's already raining, it won't activate? I don't know if that's true or if that's a glitch. Well, regardless, we don't need to waste a turn setting up rain, right? No, the game just debated me super hard. Sun was up the whole time. This girl is a motherfucker. Regardless, I take big damage from Flame Wheel, then we yawn, and now Rain is up as well. But all is well as Sarah here gets a big crit with Echoed Voice on her first one. This is actually big since it was a 3-hit KO. One more and that's Torkoal. This just means we have more turns of Rain for the Starmobile. Speaking of the darn thing, its Blazing Torque didn't do much, but it did pop our Wiki Berry, and thanks to Gluttony, we didn't need to be at 25% health to pop it. I knew that ability would come in handy. Our Echoed Voice didn't do much the first time, but the second after she used Screech, it did a chunk. Blazing Torque didn't do that much with the Screech, so I kept going at it, and Echoed Voice is at its maximum power of 200. Unfortunately, I accidentally pressed Rain Dance, which I did not want to do since this thing is faster, and Rain is no longer up, so we're dead. I was in the middle of reviewing my options, to be honest. I don't know what the play would have been. Regardless, we truck on. Send in Ellie for free, and she gets a screech off as we dig doing loads. Didn't quite kill, and to make things worse, she burnt us. Is this even gonna KO? Oh, thank God. Honestly, I think everything in that fight needed to go the way it did, and I'm pretty sure Oinkologne had to be sacked, which really blows. Kinda wish I had spit ups there to sack since that thing is basically useless. As with every other challenge I've done, the Steel Titan just wasn't a challenge. One low kick to the face did it, and it looks like Ellie is very happy about that. Speaking of happy, Rika is too happy. I just lost my pig. I'm not in the mood. Now, even though we're down a teammate, it's still looking up. I mean, Ellie can literally electrocute everything on Kofu's team. Even with Wugtrio's gooey ability activating lowering our speed, we still outspeed this crab. Time for another Route 1 encounter, and I just grabbed Hoppip as it doesn't really matter who we choose. I named her Riley, evolved her immediately, and she had Flying Terra type. I also evolved Test into a Talonflame right at the cap for the next Team Starbase. Atticus is very annoying with this toxic Venoshock Skuntank. However, there is one Pokemon on my team who can learn Taunt. This would be Tess. This way we avoid Toxic entirely and get big bulk ups off. He did end up critting with Venoshock, but that's just Pokemon for you. I only got up to +2 as I don't have an item on Tess, so Acrobatics does double damage. Skuntank and Muck both die in one shot, and I forgot to bring Flame Charge for Revavroom, so I click Acrobatics, and luckily, Sludge didn't poison us. Now unfortunately, since that Venoshock crit earlier in the fight, I didn't get a third bulk up off, meaning this Acrobatics on the Starmobile wasn't a 2-hit KO. But his Noxious Torque wasn't doing much, and this is because I put HP investment instead of speed investment since Talonflame has a jolly nature and is super fast anyways. I risked one more and he did end up getting the poison. Oh no. Oh my god, Tess lived on literal 1 HP. I definitely should have opted for the Baton Pass strat I had with Ellie to take all the damage out on her versus Skuntank. Oh well. It also sucks that we have normal Terra type, but that's a whole nother thing. Actually doesn't suck, it came super in handy. From here I went into Ellie on a Noxious Torque and got badly poisoned by Toxic Spikes. All that needs to happen is for him not to crit us, and this should kill. So we Terastallize just in case, and he in fact did not crit, so that Rust Bucket is down. Gosh, I hate this fight. It's always so hard for me, even in randomized Nuzlocke. Someone give my man a raise. Promoting the business out in the rain. Now Larry is still easy since we have a Palmot, but Kamala does hit like a truck, and Tess here has access to the Will-O-Wisp TM. How could I forget that this thing has Comatose? Bad news. Okay, let's try to eat with Tess. I bulked up and he missed a slam. Oh, thank God. He did put us to sleep, but on turn 1 of it, he missed another slam. Thank you, Arceus. I know you're looking out for my stupidity. He didn't wake up again, and just look at the damage on that slam at +1 defense. One more bulk up and one more slam later, and I realized this sweep wasn't gonna happen thanks to Starapper's Intimidate. However, I tried bulking up and he yawned, so I have an idea. I switched into Riley on a slam, and hopefully this baits yawn as I have a Chesto Berry on Ellie. Or just use slam. Oh, he missed! That's big. Now we just use bulk up as he uses yawn, and the following turn he misses again. Come on, Larry, get out of the office sometime and brush up on those skills. At +2, it does not matter if Staraptor intimidates us. I don't know how I turned this fight around, but the luck I have right now is insane. Kamala and the Dunsparce both die at +2 to a Brick Break, and Staraptor, like I said before, will make us +1, but a Brick Break still KOs and wins us the battle. Good job, Ellie. That definitely could have ended the run there. Oh hey, this normal Terra type is actually useful. Now we can set up on Lycanroc. I went for a burn as his Accelerock didn't do much. With all the bulk ups we got off, everything on her team dies to Tess's Fury. I really didn't think the normal Terra would be useful, but yeah. Back in Poco Path, this little guy was waiting for me and I named him Joel. This is our final team member and I don't think I'm going to catch those Inlet Grotto Pokemon. Moving on to Rhyme, I'd led Riley and Ellie. Riley went for an 8-turn Reflect as Ellie went for a bulk up. Mimikyu Slash didn't do much, but I did forget Banette had Icy Wind, which did a bit to Riley. Turn 2 of the fight, Ellie went for another bulk up as I switched into Tess. Turn 3, I tried an agility with Ellie as Tess broke Mimikyu's disguise, and unfortunately Banette is still lowering our speed with Icy Wind. Regardless, I baton passed into Joel, who has access to Shadow Claw, and I actually Will-O-Wisp in case of Slash crit, but to be honest, I should have just attacked Mimikyu since the next turn Acrobatics didn't KO. Joel did snag a kill on Banette with Shadow Claw, which was nice. I don't really want to lose Tess, so I went into Tommy for free, and Joel was going to Shadow Claw the Houndstone, but it used Phantom Force. The burn will end up taking out Mimikyu. Now Toxtricity and Houndstone are on the field at the same time, and that is something I just don't like, especially since Discharge is super effective against Vivillon. So I did Terrasilize Tommy into a bug type, and I set up a Light Screen. Houndstone will get a Phantom Force off, but Toxtricity ends up dying to a big Shadow Claw from Joel. Boom. All that's left is Houndstone. I went for a Giga Drain to get some health back, and with the boost that we've been getting all battle from Rhyme, we're at +2, so that did half. She did use Phantom Force again, and finally our Reflect is over. Now even with Spit Up's defense boost, I fear that he won't live, so instead I Silk Trapped. How come after I click a move that is wrong, I always regret it once I press the button? Phantom Force goes through Protect. Oh, okay, we lived. We are at +3 defense, but man, that was close. Well, that's basically the battle with Tommy's Giga Drain getting the KO. I usually always wing that fight since I just hate double battles, but man, it almost cost me. Iron Treads was kind of scary looking at it on paper, but a Flare Blitz did a lot of damage and burned this thing, which heavily nerfed that Iron Head. Although, without a crit, we would have lived. I actually meant to bulk up to make it a one-hit KO. As for the fight with Arven, it targeted his Scovillain, so I was able to get 2 bulk ups off, and after a Fire Fang from Arven's side, I was confident at +2 a Flare Blitz would KO. You know, I still can't believe this normal Terra typing is so good for Nemona. It allows me to completely wipe out my weaknesses against this Lycanroc. Turn 1 we taunt, as this thing can be annoying with Sand Attack. We did take a brutal Rock Slide though. Right after this we Will-O-Wisp, and its Rock Slide does a little less now. Now I just gotta hope she doesn't crit. We were doing fine, but eventually she did get it. Ouch. Honestly, since I have lefties, Acrobatics won't kill her Palma at +3, so I don't want to risk it. What I should have done was bring Aerial Ace with lefties, and that way we don't have to worry about Sand Attack, but I didn't do that. So instead here I switched into Ellie on a Rock Slide. One bulk up later, she didn't use Sand Attack at all, and a close combat can KO. Sliggoo and Palma died to 1 as well, with Palma getting a pesky Quick Attack off, and Meowscarada will probably also do the same thing with Quick Attack. Okay, it didn't, and we made it out of that one unscathed. Maybe it was just better to Willow and switch into Ellie right away. Speaking of Willowing and switching, I did this for Tulip. Once that's done, I went into Riley on a Zen Headbutt. The following turn, I got a nice Reflect off taking another Headbutt. Now, we can switch into Tommy, who has leftovers, so we're basically at full HP. Tommy's defense is utter crap, so that's why we do this. From here we Terrasilize and start Quiver Dancing. After 2 Quiver Dances, Tulip uses Reflect? Tulip, I'm a special attacker, get off the phone. But yeah, Little Vivillon sweeps for you guys. I know some of you wanted me to give her some more attention in my bug run. Grusha, you may be handsome as fuck, but it won't stop Ellie from destroying your soul. Yeah, Palmot, even with her terrible nature, one-hit KOs everything on her team while holding a black belt. Frostmoth was the only Pokemon who had a chance to live, and even then it was like a 1% chance to live. You know, I always mention it, but Ortega is pretty difficult to deal with, so I love when I have a Will-O-Wisper. And I also have a unique strat to go with this. First thing I do is Terrasilize Test so that Aqua Tail does less damage, and you can see we missed our Will-O-Wisp, so good thing we did. Tess is holding a Wide Lens, by the way. The following turn, I do risk it, and we do get the burn. And now, I didn't think about this during my planning, but I went into Riley for some extra protection with Reflect. Hopefully this will bait Bounce, and on my switch into Ellie, guess what Ortega used? Bounce! Ellie is definitely resisted to that, so I bulk up, but now that we can actually hit Ellie, here's the unique strat. Palma gets access to the move Entrainment, which will make Azumarill's huge power ability Natural Cure, which is Palmot's ability. This Azumarill is officially out of commission. Now of course there's still one issue, and that is of course that Azumarill has the move Charm, so we need a special attacker instead. Our only real special attacker is Tommy. So that's why we crippled this Azumarill, because Tommy's defense is utter garbage. I did lie though. There is still more issues Azumarill has, like Bounce, which has the chance to paralyze us, so I put a Cherry Berry on Tommy. He also has a chance to crit, which did in fact happen, but without huge power and him being burned, that wasn't really an issue. Also, I forgot to put Air Slash on Tommy, which was the move I was going to use, so now I have to set up just a little more. A couple of turns later, at +5 special attack, we take a pathetic Bounce, and a Giga Drain finishes off Azumarill. Wigglytuff and Daxpun also die in a single shot, and this in turn gets us super healthy for the Starmobile just in case. So even at +5 special attack, a Giga Drain won't even do half to this thing. However, we still have a +4 in our defense stat, so he can't do much to us, meaning Vivillon just completely destroyed Ortega. Tommy doesn't even care about your confusion, bro. Tommy takes names, no questions asked. The Dragon Titans weren't so easy. The Dondozo almost killed Riley thanks to a crit right through our Reflect, but we managed to pull through there, and Tatsugiri nearly KO'd Tess with a Dragon Pulse. If it used a water type move in the rain, it probably would have killed her despite being Terrasilize. Thankfully, Ellie was able to come in and finish the little sushi guy with a close combat. Oh, if only Mabelstiff was a Route 1 Pokemon. He would have been the best boy. Now, as for our last challenge before the Elite Four, let's get a nice jump bluff sweep off. You guys already know what's going on. Tess did get poisoned, but it doesn't really matter as once she burned, I go into Ellie, who also got poisoned. Damn it. All we need is just 2 bulk ups though. I definitely should have put a Pecha Berry on Ellie, but luckily we did make it through 2 more poison jabs and baton passed. Oh, thank God we didn't get poisoned. See, the reason I can't put a Pecha Berry on Riley is because I'm using the move Acrobatics, and like you've seen for most of this video, it obviously does more damage without an item on him. But thankfully, no poison on the switch. I also figured she would use Brick Break instead since I always forget poison is resistant to fighting and not the other way around. But oh well. We terrestrialized into a flying type and Riley went to town on every single one of Aries' Pokemon. Not a single fighting type can stand the wrath of this jump bluff. Imagine getting your entire team creamed by some cotton. Couldn't be me, Aerie. Holy crap, Aerie actually did something other than shift gear. It's about time. With every threat out of the way, it's time to take on the Elite Four and figure out if only Route 1 Pokemon can beat this game. And more importantly, can the 5 that I have left beat this game? As always, Rika is the first one up and she leads this Wish Cache, which is scary as it does have Blizzard. Luckily we can Terastallize, so that isn't quite effective against us. We had a Swords Dance with Riley here and she goes for a Blizzard. Guys, just like my last run, she froze us. I mean, come on. Since it only did under half, I did try to risk it to see if we thaw out, and would you look at that? Riley is just wishing to be praised. 1 Bullet Seed, or I guess a couple, and Wish Cache is out of commission. I do have the loaded dice on Jump Bluff to up the chance of hitting more with Bullet Seed. Now at +2, nothing is stopping Riley here. Donphan dies to 3 Bullet Seeds with the last one getting a crit, which might have mattered. I don't know if the loaded dice makes it a guarantee to hit more than 3 times. Yeah, it does. I checked. Also, I did prepare for Sturdy this time, don't worry. We do outspeed Dugtrio for the KO, same with Camerupt, and same with Clodsire thanks to Rika terrestrializing into a pure ground type. Man, that's really gotta suck to get put down by a mere piece of cotton. With Rika defeated, we can take on the child. I led Tess to Will-O-Wisp since I can't just brutally set up with Ellie due to her having high horsepower. From here, Riley can come in on a Stealth Rock, which is great as I was only going to baton pass 1 Swords Dance. And if certain Pokemon on her team have great defenses and natures, they might live, so now this fight is 100% guaranteed. After taking 1 more Heavy Slam and setting up to +4, we baton pass into Ellie. I didn't even know Jump Bluff got this move, by the way. This is also part of the reason I made it a physical attacker, as it gets no special setup. Now that Ellie is in here, she can Arm Thrust the Steel Elephant. Close Combat the Bronzong, which potentially could have lived at +2, Wild Charge the Steel Bird to Oblivion, and Magnezone does have Sturdy, but Arm Thrust and Loaded Dice take care of that easy. Finally, Tinkaton, after terrestrializing putting her at a disadvantage, also dies in 1 shot to Close Combat. Alright, this team is holding up surprisingly well in the Elite Four. Larry is up next, and although this man is very successful, he's not successful in any of his Pokemon battles. I led Ellie, who can bulk up, and I did terrestrialize as he could go for an Air Slash, which he did not. Instead, he Sunny Day. This is pretty bad as Solar Beam will do a crap ton of damage, but it looks like we're alright. The good news is even though his speed is doubled in the sun, thanks to his Chlorophyll ability, our max speed EVs are still putting us above him in speed. At +2, we Ice Punch Tropius, and the reason I went +2 was because Staraptor has Intimidate and it does in fact come out next. 1 Spark can take this thing out in 1 shot. Altaria is next, and as with Tropius, this is why I had Ice Punch. Oricorio is a bit different thanks to its electric typing. The only thing killing this thing at full HP would be our Wild Charge attack, as it's just that strong at +1 with our Terra type. And well, Flamigo is just frailish. Next up is Hassel, and he is definitely a hassle. Noivern has Super Fang, which is very annoying no matter your defenses. In order to avoid total death, I terrestrialized Riley into a flying type to avoid that super effective Air Slash. However, he did end up using Super Fang. With 1 Swords Dance, I immediately baton passed this into Ellie, my pride and joy. Ellie here has Ice Punch plus Metronome. The Metronome wouldn't be needed if Excalibur would die to a close combat at +2, but it actually doesn't thanks to Ellie's IV stat in attack being garbage. Dragalge also had a chance to live without it. I guess Never Melt Ice probably works too though. But yeah, there's nothing much to it. Hassel literally got swept by this Pikachu clone. Sorry, not sorry, bro. Most of our Pokemon are really tiny except for like Talonflame, but I love how all the tiny ones are the ones sweeping. Now, since this was the case, I decided it was Joel's turn. You know, Joel, my Spitops. He's been doing nothing all game because, well, he's butt cheeks. I mean, seriously, I love you, buddy, but that's just what you are. However, what if I told you that even a Spitops could beat Champion Geeta? Would you believe me? Of course you would, this woman is butt cheeks too. Now in order for this to happen, we lead Riley who can get a nice light screen off as she Lumina crashes, which unfortunately does harshly lower our special defense by 2 stages. The following turn, I start setting up Swords Dances as she goes for another Lumina crash, which lowers my special defense again. God damn it. Luckily, Geeta AI, after we use Swords Dance, goes for a Reflect, which is great as we can set up another Swords Dance. Now we baton pass into Joel, who can take a big Lumina crash, which, you guessed it, lowered my special defense. Like seriously, you cheap bitch. Now there's still one more thing I need to do, and that is Trailblaze, but we're in a predicament. Espathra has Quick Attack. I have an Assault Vest on Joel, which is why Lumina Crash didn't absolutely destroy us when we came in. But she just lowered our special defense, so this next one is sure to nearly kill me. But hey, I risked doing this strat for the memes. Spit ups, come on. Holy crap, Joel, you legend! 10 HP and a Leech Life for the win. We couldn't just use Trailblaze since Quick Attack would have just killed us next turn, but by doing this, we get health back. Unfortunately, we're not faster than Glimmora or Veluza without Trailblaze. Kingambit is going to come out next as it does have Stone Edge. Reflect is still up, and unfortunately we can't stall any turns with Silk Trap since I have to put Assault Vest on him. Now the good news is Joel has access to the move Low Kick, and since we weigh absolutely nothing, this will KO even with a Reflect up. It also helps that it is quad effective. Go-Go comes after this, and I know I'm not faster, so I made a mistake. I accidentally used Trailblaze, forgetting that Go-Go has the ability Sap Sipper, which makes it immune to Grass type as well as raising its attack stat. This basically means we lost. That is, if Joel here didn't full on dodge her second play rough. Joel, I get it, you didn't have any screen time, but you're a G right now. Thanks to Leech Life, we are now at 100% of our health. Veluza comes out next, and this thing is 100% dead to a Trailblaze, and we'll get a speed boost from it. Now obviously we're not faster at this point, but we take half from a Liquidation, which actually did more than I expected, but regardless, it dies in one hit. With that, we can outspeed Glimmora. But before that, Avalugg is on the field. This is why the move Low Kick is so good, and why it didn't just bring Brick Break. Low Kick is the only move Joel could learn that will kill Avalugg from full at +4 attack. Bye bye, buddy. Lastly is that Glimmora. And I know you think you can win Geeta, but you just can't. We Terrasilize, and I know you're thinking, oh, Low Kick for sure. No, a Leech Life actually kills from full, because even though you might think not, Rock doesn't resist Bug. I know I make a lot of jokes about how bug types can sweep people and how they should feel ashamed when it happens, but if anybody should be ashamed they got swept by a bug, it's you, Geeta. It's a Spit Ops. All you had to do was hit the play rough. And it wasn't because it was by chance, literally the trainer messed up. Me, if I had just clicked Leech Life, you're finished no matter what. The only thing that was chance was no crits and living on 10 HP. Eat my dick. Now would you believe me if I told you our other bug friend solos Clavel? And I mean completely solos him? No help needed. Yeah, no, seriously, all we have to do is Quiver Dance twice, as well as making Tommy here hold a Chesto Berry for Oranguru Jean. Once Tommy eats his berry, it's time for this little bugger to go to town. Oranguru, Houndoom, and Abomasnow all die in one hit to Bug Buzz. Poltegeist is an exception who dies to 2 Bug Buzzes, and then it's back to normal for both Amoonguss and Quaquaval. Normally his starter would have died to a Giga Drain, but since it lost its fighting type, Bug Buzz was fine. And that's that. I mean, a little insect beat you. That's what villains call their enemies. Insects. You should just be ashamed as well. Speaking of more shame, if we lead Tess to burn and then Swords Dance Baton Pass with Riley into Joel, he sweeps once again. Now luckily on entry, he didn't get paralyzed by a body slam coming from Greeting. I did have a Cherry Berry on him, but if he did it twice, we were screwed for our Joel sweep. That didn't happen though, and 2 Trailblazes KOs Greeting, allowing us to eventually outspeed Toadscruel. But yeah, like I said, everything on Arven's team dies to a Leech Life. And I mean everything. It's the only move I had to use on him. Seriously, I'd quit my entire goal of being a trainer if this happened to me. Mabostiff deserves a better trainer. Take that thing to the adoption center. I'm about to put Penny's evolutions up for adoption too. Now you might be noticing that I only have 1 Pokemon in my party, and well my fellow viewers, there's a good reason for this. Riley doesn't need anybody else. No, I mean it. We can easily set up a light screen for free as she uses Baby Doll Eyes. Huh, she finally used Baby Doll Eyes. Could be scary, but I mean, it's Penny AI. I doubt it's going to use it again. Now we just Trailblaze next turn for a speed boost to outspeed Jolteon, and of course she crits us with Dark Pulse, but it honestly didn't do much, so as long as she doesn't do it again, we should be fine. I did get to +5 as we need to be +4 to kill Jolteon, and I just don't get the AI for Penny. It just didn't use it. She refuses to click Baby Doll Eyes. Anyways, Jolteon is out next, and this dies to an Acrobatics, so does Vaporeon, So does Flareon, and oh, you get the gist. Riley destroyed everything with acrobatics. By the way, not only does her AI not use Baby Doll Eyes, I never see it use Quick Attack either unless there's a KO for it, so I knew that wouldn't happen either. Your poor Eevees, man. They have a terrible trainer. So Nemona is a little difficult as I can't just sweep with Ellie due to Lycanroc having Drill Run and like 3 of her other Pokemon also have ground type moves. Okay, maybe I could have sweeped, but I didn't think of it. You see, Ellie has the move Double Shock, which gets rid of the electric typing, but I'm just stupid and I didn't think of it. Anyways, going back to the video. So instead, I decided on Tess. The problem with Tess is that we do have normal Terra type to withstand Lycanroc's moveset, however, I need a mix of Acrobatics and Flare Blitz, but I don't have enough room for all the moves I need. Flare Blitz will KO everything at +6, but I'm worried about the recoil, but that's why I have Roost. But having Roost leaves me with 1 slot, and that is for Burn. But we don't want to miss Burn, so I need the wide lens attached, and of course with an item, Acrobatics is useless, which is why +6 is needed. So enough rambling. Tess burns Lycanroc turn 1, and she gets off a big Stone Edge. We start bulking up, and she can crit obviously, but the good news is with Burn, it won't crit straight through it like it would with a Reflect Up. So the defense boost could help us roost off damage. We roost in between, and she even crit with Drill Run, thankfully, instead of Stone Edge, and on the turn after, she will miss a Stone Edge, so we basically got to +6 pretty easily. By the way, Roost is a move that Tess literally just learned at level 65. I don't know why it's so late, but thank God we have it for this fight. After Lycanroc is down, Palmok comes in, and that will die to a Flare Blitz as well. Orthworm is her third, and this thing does have Body Press, but we roost to be healthier than we were, and a Flare Blitz ends up knocking that out. I roost again on the Dunsparce, and thankfully no crit as we are out of roosts. 1 Flare Blitz later, and that's the Dunsparce. Even if we could roost on Goodra, this thing does 50% with its Dragon Pulse, so we weren't going to do it anyways, and that gets burned to a crisp as well. Now Meowscarada is up, and it looks like a Flare Blitz KOs us. However, even if it didn't, I wasn't going to use it, and here's why. This cat is insanely fast, having just 3 points lower in speed than a Talonflame. If you remember correctly, I didn't EV train Tess since she has baller speed stats. However, if Nemona here has a good nature and IVs, she will outspeed and kill us. So I came up with something else instead of just risking it. I hard switched into Riley, who can take a Flower Trick, as we are also a grass type. We did take Rock Stamets on entry, which I didn't account for, and it might bite me in the butt. But I did have lefties on Riley. So next turn, Riley takes a Play Rough, and it did a lot, but right after we reflect and eat some lefties. I have no idea if we live, and honestly, this is a flaw in my strat. I should have just brought Joel to sack, but I don't have him since he was actually really close to leveling up over the cap. But to be honest, I'm not going to use him anymore. That's a lie. But yeah, let's just see what Riley can... Oh my god, Riley just lived on 1 HP. You are a legend. Man, this team ain't dying today, boys. With that, we baton pass late into Tommy, but again, this strat didn't account for Stealth Rocks, which is quite effective against Vivian. I really thought a Bug Buzz would KO from full, but it didn't, and we take a big Thunder Punch, leaving us super weak. Maybe I should have just risked Tess outspeeding. Honestly though, even with Tess outspeeding, which at this point, I'm sure it does, we couldn't do it anyways because Flare Blitz definitely would have killed us from recoil. By the way, Ellie has a point lower than Tess, so it might have not outsped it either. But again, I mean, what are the chances that it has 31 IVs plus a good nature? I mean, I was just overreacting for nothing. This is what I get for being a good trainer trying to keep everyone alive. You know what's funny too? I didn't even put an item on Tommy. Silver Powder definitely would have killed there. Oh, would you look at that? We should have just baton passed straight into Ellie. Honestly, I don't think I could beat Professor Turo, but let's just try. Good idea, Arvin. Let's just jump off this cliff right now. Okay, I think I may have come up with a strat to defeat Professor Turo, and I'm pretty proud of it. Of course, it's not foolproof. So Iron Moth is pretty hard to set up on, especially since it has really strong moves and good type coverage against my team. However, if we get rid of this threat, we could potentially set up on something else. So that is exactly what I did. Iron Moth is a poison and fire type. This means it is 4 times weak to ground type moves. The only one of my Pokemon who have a ground type move is Ellie. She has access to the move Dig, and this will actually 100% KO from full. Iron Thorns will come out next because it's the only Pokemon that has a super effective move against me, that being Earthquake. Knowing this, I go into Tess on 1 since she's immune. Now all we have to do is hit a Will-O-Wisp. Unfortunately, this is all I can come up with, and I actually can't Terastallize here since I need it for later. This means if we miss, a Stone Edge will kill us. And as you're seeing, we did miss, and that was a 6.5% chance to miss that Willow. We need Terastallization later because the plan was to set up with Jumpluff, and Jumpluff at +6 is the only way we can kill Iron Hands from full. However, if we don't, then it's a 2-hit KO. Either way, it's RNG because we could get paralyzed by its Thunder Punch, so I just went with missing the Willow. Well, that's the run. But let me show you how we could have won. Second time around, we hit the Willow and sack Tess. Now we go into Joel, who can get a Sticky Web off. I had a Choice Scarf on him to outspeed, but to be honest, I could have just Silk Trapped, lowering his speed, and then Sticky Webbed. Sticky Web is needed to outspeed Iron Bundle. Now we go into Ellie, who learns a move called Double Shock, like I mentioned before. 120 base power, but we use that so we lose the electric typing so that Earthquake isn't super effective. Pretty cool, huh? From there we start bulking up, and he did crit, but we Citrus Berried. One more bulk up to be +3, and we Baton Pass it into Riley. Now we Swords Dance twice, and again, RNG still exists. Like I said, we can get paralyzed from Thunder Punch. But we didn't, and now we can Terastallize into a Flying type and Seed Bomb. We use Seed Bomb instead of Bullet Seed because we can't run loaded dice. Why? Because of Acrobatics. Iron Hands comes out next, who fakes out, but after dies to an Acrobatics, which is right on the money to kill. Iron Bundle gets outsped thanks to Sticky Web and dies to a Seed Bomb. Iron Jugulis isn't affected by Sticky Webs, but we outspeed anyways for an Acrobatics. And finally, Iron Valiant also gets outsped and gets obliterated by a piece of cotton. Honestly, that was probably my favorite strat I've ever done in any game. It would have been epic if we actually won the run like that, but that's just Pokemon for you. And this fight is extremely difficult. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I work really hard on these videos. Let me know who is your favorite Pokemon from this team. I love you all. Bye!